Okay, I thought I'd do another video on some of the software I'm using here with the macro work I've been working on. This is Olympus on the top monitors. That's the Olympus Capture software, which is their tethering software. The camera is connected via USB, and on the top left monitor here we're looking at the live view output from the camera. Okay, so it's not lit particularly well. I'm just using some available light here, so what I will do is I'll just put in a bit of exposure compensation, but it may be maybe that's too much. Okay, so let me just go back, rather than put on exposure compensation, put it back to no compensation. I'll maybe give it some lighting from the LED ring flash, just to brighten it up a tad. So let's switch that on. That's well and truly bright. Let me back that. Okay, so let me just adjust that. Bring that brightness right down. So it's okay, you think that's better. It's added a bit of extra lighting here, so you can now see the inside of the bus there. Okay, so Olympus Capture software, very fully featured. It shows you and allows you to control just about everything that you can do from the camera on the PC. So it's connected up via USB. We've got I might still add a tad of compensation to that. Let me just add a little bit more. Okay, that'll do. I'm not trying to get it absolutely spot on at the moment. It's more a case of, let me just reset that. It's more a case of just to demonstrate some of the key features to the software. Right, so this is the main super control panel. It allows you to adjust just about everything that you really need to get at frequently, like the aperture, the ISO, white balance, manual focus, which is what I've got it in at the moment, with focus peaking selected on the camera. That's all the yellow on the image here. I've got it set up to take a high res shot. I will change that in a minute. Your metering mode, so everything you can do, and some video settings down here as well, so which obviously I'm not using here. Right, so I've adjusted the focus and enabled focus and peaking manually on the camera. You can adjust it further here now, so I generally set it up so I get my eye in on the camera, and then if I need to adjust it further I can adjust it from here. So I'll turn on AFL and I'll do my adjustments from here. It's going the wrong way, so let's go back this way, and then I can fine tune it if I wish. It's getting pretty close. I'll go one more. I think one more would be too much. No, one more is fine. It's got plenty of depth of field, so it's on f8. But I'm also going to turn on focus bracketing in a minute, so that will take 9 images, 8 images and a composite image, which will be the 9th image, which will be the focus stacked image. Before I do that, I'll go into the actual super control panel settings to show you what you can change. There's a lot of things that you can tweak further in here and set up. The one I'm interested in for this one predominantly is bracketing, because I'm going to do a focus bracketing shot in a minute. So it's going to get focus brackets on. It's going to take 8 pictures with what they call a focus differential of 1. The flash recharge time here is irrelevant because I'm not actually using flash, but that is the recharge time between exposures to allow the flash to charge back up again. And the focus stacking option is on, so it's going to stack all them together into one image. It's focus stacked image. So that's, but you can see there's lots of other things we can change in here. So I'll close that off. So I take the pictures, and Now I'm going to go into the, I'm going to change that from there, from high res shot. Well, actually I don't need to. What I can do is come out of there and I'll just select bracketing and that'll do it for me. So you see BKT bracket, you see it's changed it for me automatically. And it set several other things. It will turn off HDR mode if it was on. It wasn't. It puts it into high speed drive mode, and it's all set up now to do the exposure bracketing. Okay, that rec view window that keeps popping up occasionally, I could turn that off. That is the live output as it takes the images, the recorded view. But on the right hand top monitor here, you see I've got it full screen as well. So that really is exactly the same as the live view output there, but bigger. Okay, let's go and take the images, and when I take them, I've set it up so it launches another piece of Olympus software, Olympus Workspace, which will appear on the bottom two monitors as soon as it starts taking images. You can see it's taking images, so the PC, it's greyed out there, but there's just above it, there's some chevrons which they'll flash as it takes an image to show it's doing something. That's the shutter button. Pressing the shutter button all the way down, that's what I want to do, so let's do it. Okay, so it's off and running. Were it using flash now, of course it would just be firing off the taking exposures and I'd see the flash going, but it's just using that LED lighting. I'm only doing that just really because I'm not really fine-tuning anything, I'm just doing a quick demonstration. Okay, so on the bottom two monitors now we're starting to see the images appear. You can see it's got up to 6 or 7 is it at the moment, and I think that's the 8th last one. It takes a RAW and a JPEG image, and in a minute it'll take a composite image, and there it is. And you can see it. Forget the top monitors for a minute because they're out of focus now because it's moved the focus point when it was doing the focus stacking. But if you look at the image on the bottom right monitor, which I shall zoom in on, the detail, that is the image, complete with dust. That's my voice control saying it was listening to me. Right, so there we have it. There's our focus stacked image in more detail. And also, you may know, if I go back to one of the images that it used to get the focus stacked image, I'll go back to the last one it took. Now leave it in that view and compare that with the final image. Now you see it's moved. It's actually, you've got to watch the top of the frame here and allow a bit of room, a bit of wiggle room for lack of a better word or term, because it's going to change it. There we go. Okay, so that's an 8 exposure focus bracketed image. I'll refocus the image and we'll go back and we'll refocus it on here. I'll just see if there's any further tweaking we can do, a little bit perhaps. That's fine. So I've got plenty of depth of field, it's on F10. This time I will turn on that high. There we go. I think I need to turn focus bracket off first. There we go. And then I'll select it. So I'll select it there to high res shot. And I'll leave it there for a second. This will take one high res 40 megapixel shot. So everything else I'm leaving the same. I'll just click on the shutter button again. And if you watch what's happening on the bottom left monitor as it takes the images, I don't think it's actually going to show the composite. It's only going to show the composite image when it's finished. But it is moving that sensor around. I think it works, to the best of my knowledge, by using the image stabilization axes, I should say, and moves the sensor to take the images and then it merges them into a 40 megapixel image, all done in the camera and displayed. There it is. Okay. Again, now this time you note it hasn't changed the focus because it hasn't done any focus bracketing. It's purely taken a high res image. I say purely because if I go over to this bottom right monitor here and we'll do what we did before, we'll zoom in at this level, well, at this size monitor, it's very hard to see any difference between that and the bracketed shot, but it is a bigger image. I also got some dust there on my on my backdrop, which I could get rid of easy enough. Okay, so that's it for this demonstration, I think. Except for maybe just exporting now. I don't have to, but what I will do is I'll just go to the file export menu in Workspace and I'll export that. No, actually, I'll leave. No, I won't. Well, I will leave it here in the. Because I'm going to load that in a minute. I'll pause the video and restart it, and I'll capture just one of my monitors, or two perhaps, the top monitors, and I'll fire it up in another piece of software I use habitually, which is called DXO Photolab. I've just upgraded to the latest version 3, which has got some very nice new features. Normally I would use that to import my raw files directly in, but here I'm obviously using the capture software to capture the images. Okay, so that's it for this one. What I'll do is I'll pause this video and restart it in a minute, and we'll just have a look at it in DXO Photolab. Okay, in the second part of the video, I'll do a little bit about what has pretty much become my standard package for doing a lot of work with my images, which is DXO Photolab. And this is the Photolab latest version 3. I've had it in its previous 2 versions of Photolab, and also when it was called DXO Optics Pro, and it's grown and grown in terms of functionality, and I think this last version has got some really interesting new features. Okay, so things I've used throughout in this software, tools. There's a lot of tools in here, as you can see. I won't go through all of them or a large number of them, but I will go through some that I sort of habitually use and like. Under this lighting section or light section, there's one called DXO Smart Lighting, which is currently switched off. I'll turn that on, you'll see what it does. This is the high-res image that I shot, the 40 megapixel image. So I'll go DXO Smart Lighting. Now I'll toggle that off and back on again. Okay, so I'll leave it on. And then it's DXO Clear View, which is another technology. Both of these can be tweaked. See, there we go. Well, back I'm still on smart lighting. I'll show you the smart lighting effect. There is slight, spot weighted effects. If you've got a face in the image or something like that, you're adjusting. And then there's the DXO Clear View Plus technology, which I've just enabled, and again I'll maximise there. Again, you've got an intensity slider, you can change the level of effects. Let's toggle it off and on. So we'll leave both of those on for the time being. Okay, another very basic in this sense tool, but it's effective, and I want it here, is this horizon tool. So the bus, as you know, I took it at a slight sort of slope to the horizontal. So I'll put on the horizon adjustment and click there. That's that done pretty much. I like that better. So there's just 3 tools. Now, new things in here. We've got I think a good worthwhile additions to the software. They've improved what they call a repair tool. A repair tool, in this sense, enable you to take an area. Now I've got some dust, I think it is, on the backdrop there, so I can go and I can use the say the repair tool. Let's use that tool there. Sorry, this one here rather, and I can select an area that I want to get rid of some dust in. This one, for instance, I could select a bigger area than that, but we'll just do that bit, and it shows you immediately the area it's going to replace it with. Well, I don't want that, because it's just going to replace dust with dust, which is pretty much not what I want. So I can move that up to somewhere which is a bit, well, was dust free, and I can apply that. So you're not limited to just it picking the area and you being stuck with it. But there's different ways, so I won't apply that tool, but I'll do it another way. But that's just to show you that you can actually take an area and or multiple areas, masks. I'm showing the masks at the moment. If I go up to here and turn them off, you see they disappear. And you can change the opacity, the feathering of the mask, and so on. So that's an addition. As are local adjustments. So I'll turn on local adjustments, and I'll use the local adjustments tool. Turn that on, and I'll right click on the image, and here we get a whole series of options. I'll add a control point. Now this is technology that DXO have well bought really, because they bought up the NIK collection, which I've been very fond of for a number of years, and the control point technology is very powerful and very useful. So I don't particularly need to use it here, I don't think, but I will use it for example. So let's zoom in a bit on this hub, and we'll create a control point. So we left click and drag, we'll resize that a bit so it's approximately the wheel hub, and I'll do for the time being. We'll just leave it there. So you can see you can locally within that circle as it is, you can adjust a lot of things. Vibrancy, saturation, white balance adjustments. Local white balance adjustment is quite interesting as well, because it's not global, it's local. Oh well, as you can see, it's got all sorts of options. The hue, that's one setting, that comes under the colour setting as it's defaulted to. And then you've got a detail setting as well, where you can adjust sharpness, micro contrast, all on just one bit of the image, or indeed multiple control points you can create. Now that is very useful. I'll just up the sharpness a bit there. I'm not going to go mad, I'm just going to put in a bit of extra sharpness. It's very subtle, but it's there. And likewise, of course, you could actually get rid of control points, so you can duplicate control points, so you can have the same amount of adjustment applied to multiple areas. It's powerful, it's useful, and maybe what I'll do is I'll just take that control point, we'll drag it up onto the bus lettering there, and we'll zoom in a bit. Okay, all I've actually done is adjust the sharpness, I think. That's the only adjustment I made to that. Yeah, it's getting sharper. I don't want it actually, because I think it's too sharp now, but in this sense, but we'll put it back to more or less where it was. Very tiny amount of sharpness adjustment, which you can hardly see. So that's very powerful. I think that's going to be really useful, because I've been using a NIK, one of my favourite probably of all time tool, which is NIK Vivezza 2, which is part of the NIK collection, which I will use in a moment, but launched through DXO, Photolab. And I will do that now, so I'm taking a slight move away from Photolab here, but still within it. And I'll go up to the this option here which says NIK collection. Now that brings up the suite of NIK plugins, and the one I'm interested in here is Vivezza, and I will fire that up and I'll let it run and load up. And whilst it's loading, everything is going to take a little bit of time, because this is, as I say, a big image in terms of file size, pixels, but it is actually taking a very long time. Maybe I didn't select it correctly. Let's try that again. NIK Vivezza. There we go. Okay, there's Vivezza. Right, so one thing, control points in Vivezza. Now I've selected up here that I'm going to add a control point, and while I'm doing it, rather than just click and add it, I'm going to hold down the control key when I do it. Now you'll see all the areas it's going to affect. In this case, all the areas pretty much which are black in this part of the image. Okay, and we'll do the same for what I do is other areas of the image, so I can do that in easy way. I can just hold down the Alt key while I select that control point to duplicate it, and I'll drag it somewhere else where there's some black down here, and you can make it larger or smaller and individual adjustments. But what I will do in a moment is so I'm just selecting some areas of black. I don't particularly need these top ones. I'm more interested in these ones down here. So I might just scale this one a bit so I can see. There we go. I don't want it right up there, but down there. A little bit fiddly. There we go. I'm going to move it down probably a bit there. Okay, so I've got 3 control points. 4 in fact, actually. I must have duplicated that one twice, but it doesn't really matter. But I'll just bring it back down here. Alright, and leave it there. Now, there are the control points here on the right, and I'm going to select them all. So I'm going to hold down the control key, and I'm going to select all 4 control points. And I'm going to group them together, so any adjustments I make are going to affect all those control points simultaneously. So go up to the group option here, and we click on it. And you see it's just left us with 1 set of controls, which I can adjust from there, or I can do on the right hand side here easier. Now, it's the black areas all around here that I've selected, and the reason I selected them is I want to make them darker. I want to make them black. And you see, in doing that, also it's actually, because the tyres are black as well, I could have adjusted that finer. It's actually you can see you're losing a little bit around the bottom of the tyre here where it touches the backdrop, because I've gone right down. I've reduced the brightness down. I can probably bring it back a little bit to there, say. I've still got a little bit of dust there back, and I can retouch that up easy enough. But you see what it's done. So if I toggle it on and off with the preview button up here, let's toggle that off and back on again. So that's a very simple adjustment in Vivezza. For each of those control points, you can adjust everything associated with it, just like you could use in the DXO itself there, where you're adding brightness, which of course I've done, contrast, saturation, so structure, shadow adjustments, warmth, colour, the colour balance, if you like, or red, green, blue of that adjustments for that control point, and the hue adjustment, and it shows you the colour you've selected there, which is what, black. RGB 000. So you can duplicate control points from here. You can delete control points if you're not happy with them. And what I will do is I don't really need to do it, because I think that bus is looking pretty red. I think you've got to agree it's looking pretty red. So, but I'll add 1 more control point. And again, I'll hold down the control key while I'm doing it, and we'll try and get as many red areas of the bus as we can. We could duplicate it again, but I think that's picking up pretty much all of it, and we'll just make it more red. So an easy way to do that is just to increase the red. You see there's the colour it's picked, right, which is 100% red will be 25500, so it's a shade of red. It's not absolutely full red here. So okay, so let's go back, or go up to the red slider, and we'll up it a bit. I think you can see what's happening there. It's well, as I said, it's making it redder. So I'll leave it. I'll go to full mile. I'll go right up, increase it right up as far as it'll go, and we'll just take the preview off again. And you can see it is very red now, that bus. But in doing that, it's just losing a little bit of detail, but it's still acceptable. I think it probably pushed it too far there on the red, in my opinion, but we've gone up to what, 47% red. Another way of doing it is using this really will push the saturation of that bus up, the colour saturation. That's to do it with the saturation slider. So let's do it here. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't do that, but or not to that extent. So we'll just leave the saturation to 0. So another adjustment we can do here is structure, and structure bear in mind I'm just got the red areas of the bus selected at the moment. So any structure adjustments make here will just affect those areas. It's like a micro contrast adjustment. In fact, that's what it is. So if we go bring up the structure a little bit, don't particularly need to, but we'll do it. That's it. So okay, so that's it. I might just go back to the group to control points here, and I might just bring that brightness down a bit more and leave it there and save there. Now what this will do is it'll make another image which it will add the suffix NIK to, which is going to be one I can work on further. If I select it, it should be the last one in the thumbnail view here. This one. Let it load in, and there we go. Now we'll do a couple more too. Now probably this is a good time to apply that repair tool now, because I've got rid of most of these areas of dust as they were in the image, so that would make like this bit of the job easier. Okay, so NIK can also export to other pieces of software. Sorry, not from there, let's cancel that. If I go to export, change export to disk into export to application, here are some of my applications that I could bring this image into. Now I will bring it in first of all, not that I will probably end up using it here, but I'll bring it into Aurora HDR, which is my favourite bit of export it into that program. It's my favourite program for for working with HDR images, and it's not an HDR image. You saw it was shot as just a single image. But I'll export it to Aurora. Let it load. It's going to take a second or two because it's not too bad because it is a big image. And there it is. I haven't done anything with it, but there it is. So we'll create, actually interestingly, you see it says EV 0.3 because in the original image it shows you that I've actually used a little bit of, you'll remember, of exposure compensation, but anyway, very minor. We'll create the HDR from a single frame image as it is, and again, just like DXO and like this other software, it's very fully featured. Okay, so it's got its own presets. Well, in fact, this is its first go at it. It automatically applies some effects. So we'll do a quick preview. Okay, now I personally prefer it without that. Okay, so that's the changed image, and that's the changed image. Okay, we'll go through a few of these presets, but you can, of course, you can do an awful lot here yourself. I've got at numerous stages we could change the white balance. We could have changed it, had I shown you, by taking an image when we did the capture. If we felt necessary, we could do it through DXO. We can do it again through here, but I'm just going to leave it as shot. It was actually shot in daylight and natural light. So there's what they call a natural preset, which I think is looking better already, so better than that previous one. So again, we'll turn on quick preview. Then there's this vivid preset, which is vivid. It's made red even redder, and but detailed preset. These are some of its presets. There's a lot of presets here. This is what it calls its essential collection, or whatever you want to call it. One I do quite like, and it'll make it quite soft and a bit soft focus and a bit glowing, is the preset called glowing, which if I apply it, Not necessarily for this image, but it's nice with well, it's nice with people, portraited, that sort of thing. I think it's quite a nice effect. So that's this piece of software. As I say, it's called Aurora HDR 2019 by Skylum software. I'll just toggle this before I quit. I won't apply it, but before I quit, I'll just show you that quick preview. That's the unaltered image, and on and off a few times with the glowing preset. One more preset perhaps before we quit, which is deep. And you can customize not just a whole preset. And as you see, you've got all these controls again: saturation, vibrance, clarity, and so it goes on. But you can also reduce the amount of the effect you're putting in. Now this is 100% full on of this deep preset, but I can back that off so a third, 32%, as I've just randomly clicked on it. So that's not quite such a drastic effect. But anyway, I won't apply it, but I just wanted to show you a little bit about Aurora. So I will quit Aurora. I use it for, and not save. I will for its intended real main purpose, which is HDR, my HDR imagery with multiple images, which I can export, having selected them all in DXO. Hold down Control key and select multiple images, and export them all to Aurora and make my HDR image from there. So that was Aurora. Two other pieces of software by Topaz that I use a lot. I will export to them in turn. One is called Topaz Denoise AI, and I will export to that. Now there isn't. I will use a unique name. I don't want to overwrite that one. Okay, so I want to drop back on it or something. So whilst it's exporting, Denoise AI is, as the name suggests, another tool for getting rid of noise in high ISO images. Now, you might remember this was actually shot at low ISO. It was shot at 200, so there really isn't an awful lot of noise in here, but there's always a bit of noise. Even when you think that you're shooting at the lowest ISO. Look at all the hairs on the, not hairs, dust and so on the top of this, top of this bus. That shows you the level of detail in that in that shot. I could have cleaned it up, but I just stuck it down there quickly for doing this these videos. Okay, so there isn't a lot of noise here, but this is not noise, this is dust. It'll do its best to get rid of it. It'll probably think it's noise, in which case it'll apply as noise correction. So it's not a great example, but it is a nice piece of software. So it's if I go for an auto, let it take its best guess at it, it's immediately reduced the remove noise slider because it can't find much, but it is enhancing the sharpness. And if I go to the split view here, we'll get the area down here with the dust, because you can see it's making that sharper. If you look at the actual image, it's very subtle, but it's actually doing it. So I won't apply this one because it's not a noisy image to start with, but it's very good on high noise images, and worthy maybe of another video in its own right. But there's another tool to this which is called AI Clear, which is another one of their technologies, and that has some presets, low, medium, high, and the same for sharpness, cover details, and so on. So I don't need it here, but I'll showed it to you, so I'll cancel that. But one I will use here is another tool by Topaz, and it's called Topaz Sharpen AI this time. Okay, and I export it there, and again I use a unique name, so it's got a unique named image to work with. Let it fire up. What I like about this, particularly this bit of software, is its effects are subtle. Yes, you can push it to ridiculous lengths and over sharpen it, but by default it's not over aggressive. So it's on the manual mode at the moment. I'll put it to its auto setting. and I think we're at the minimum zoom level. Well, no, we're not actually. We'll go 50%. That is the minimum zoom level. We'll zoom right in a minute to maximum, and the effect here, as I say, is very, very, very subtle. It's on its sharpen mode. Stabilizes all about what it says. If you've got a slight movement, sort of, if you like, a little bit of camera shake, it won't correct ridiculous camera shakes. You wouldn't expect it to, nor will it under the focus setting take drastically out of focus images and make them sharper. But it will have an effect on those, providing it's not suffering the image, that is, from or you are, from extreme camera shake, or, as I say, badly out focused image. It has its uses, but in this sense I'm using the sharpening tool in this case. So we'll go back to the manual adjustment, and we'll zoom in this time. We'll go right into 400%, and we'll just move it around on the loop here, drag it a little bit, so we've got a bit of text to look at, that bit of text. Okay, so this is, let's move this slider, and we can just get rid of this for a minute. Okay, right. Yeah, so we'll go back to a bit with some writing on it, which I think is somewhere up here. I'll do it with the loop. It's easy. I can see what I'm doing. It's on its most highest setting at the moment, 400%, and we'll get it somewhere on text. Now the sharpness, again with the slider, it is sharpening it. You can see it's sharpening it, and the sharpness there is about 36%. Now if I push it right up, I'll go right up to 100%. Whoa. That is very aggressive sharpening. You see the noise coming back into the white areas here. I wouldn't be doing that. So let's go back to somewhere down here, 30% for the time being. Now again, there's a suppressed noise function here as well. So there is some noise coming in. We can see it there in the white areas. I say. So I might up the suppressed noise slider as well a bit, and let's move this slider around a little bit. You won't actually see that. It's not so much noise as texture in a sense, but I think probably if we go to a medium zoom setting, 200 say, and then we do the same with the slider, the effect is very subtle. As the setting I've got it on at the moment, but it is sharper. You can see it's sharper as I'm moving it. Or if I go to the no point doing a side-by-side view at this size, but we'll do it maybe side by side. There's the two images, the original on the left and the sharpened preview on the right, and you can see the difference in sharpness there. If you look at this, not just the writing, but if you look at the area of white down here as well. So we'll save image. We'll just apply that and we'll save it. So that was another tool, Topaz Sharpen AI. So we straightened it, we sharpened it, we've used a few tools in DXO, we've used some control points in Vivezza and so on, and we've got ourselves, or we will have in a moment when it's finished loading, the final image, as I'm going to leave it for today. As I say, taking a while to load back in. It is a big image. There was possibly one more bit of software I could show you, which has got nothing to do with these. It's another product by Topaz, and it's called Gigapixel AI. Now this is a 40, as I've said before several times, megapixel image, high-res image. But if I want to make this into a very, very big image, like so, let's save that, export to disk, and this time we'll give it a sensible name. So we'll export it, or rather, when I know which it's going to be. It's going to be the last image in this in the sequence. Okay, so let's we'll shut down DXO now. So I have to close that down, and we'll go to this other software that I was talking about, which is Gigapixel AI. So let's go and fire that up. There it is. So it's AI Gigapixel. Got the AI and the Gigapixel the wrong way round. Hey, I can live with it. Okay, so here we are. It's loading now. We need to give it an image to work with. I don't want to install an update right now, but open images. It's a good thing to do, isn't it? So we go to our folder that we've been saving things in. There we go. DXO processed images. Maximize that up so we can see what we're doing. There it is. That's this top one here. We'll just load it in. Okay, right, so when it's loaded, the preview that is, the original image at 100% magnification is on the left here, and in a minute, or more maybe, this might take a little while. It's not going particularly fast because it's already starting with a large image, but I'm going to attempt to make it even larger. Yeah, it's going very slow. Oh no, it's got there. Right, okay, so on the left we have the original, on the right we have the preview. Now there's a scale factor here. I could make it 6. We could do it by pixels. Okay, so if we go to the width, and we can do it by scale. So I go 6 times. I make this image 6 times bigger. That's going to be incredibly big. Face refinement, I haven't got any faces in here, so I'm not bothered with that. And suppress noise, remove blur. I mean, there's other features in here, but I'll zoom in to 400%. Now, have a look at the image on the left, the original image. Again, I could do it from the loop here, up the top right. So I'll just go up to something with a bit of text on it. Look at that. Now that is well, when I saved it, it's going to be 6 times the original image. In fact, I think it's going to actually say here it's going to be 32,000 by 20. Well, might as well say 23,999 pixels. Okay, so let's. Now here I'm taking a big image and I'm making it even bigger. But this works very well with small images and making them bigger, which is probably what you want. So if you've got something that was shot at a low resolution, maybe an old picture, 1024x768, or even smaller perhaps, and you want the AI in it, it's very good. So if you want to make it up to an acceptable sort of size for printing, but say let's do it. Let's save this image, and go on, click on the save button down here. And we bring up image format, TIFF. I like TIFFs. Compression, no compression. We'll keep it up. Bit depth 16. File name, we'll leave it there. We'll leave it there as well. I think I know where it's going to go. Save directory is source. I'm just going to put it back in the same directory we got it from. Color profile is fine because I'm going to leave it on and RGB because it might end up as a web image, but throughout I've been editing it under Pro Photo, so maybe I will make it a Pro Photo image, and we'll change it very last of all if I enter, say, sRGB for a JPEG if it ended up on the web, which it won't. So I'll save, and this again might take a while. It's doing a lot of work here, a lot of processing. But the final result will be massive and print up to a very big size at that those pixel dimensions you've got there. So as it says, you can see the source image on the left. If you look at the writing on the bottom left there, it says was 7027 by 5270. There's my high res image. There's my, if you multiply on my 40 megapixel image, and it, as I've already given you the dimensions on the right there of the output image, and if you multiply them by both those dimensions by 6, you'll see that's pretty much what they're going to come out at. So, as I say, as a resize, it's going to be big, and it's going to take a while. So, 9%. So, it's going very slowly by normal standards, but I'm asking it to do a lot of work here. So that's one more piece of software, say by Topaz. I've got the 3 that I've showed you, and a few other ones as well, but they're all this suite of AI software, artificial intelligence software as they call it, which I've been using a lot in my work. What I might just do, as this is going pretty slowly, is I might just pause the video and wait for it to finish rather than let it chunk through, and I'll show you the end result. Okay, so this is the final image from Gigapixel, which is now approximately 4.5 times in terms of pixels the original image. So now it is a stunning 32,000 by nearly 20, well, might as well say 24,000 pixel image, or 4.5 times 40 megapixels, or 180 megapixels as it now is, if you do the maths. So this is it at a 4% view, so it fits on the screen. So let's zoom right in. Keep on going. Let's back it off to that. One more. 90, 100. So that's 100% view, or if you like, full size. And a level of detail in there. Okay. That is the image now at full size. So that is as I said, 180, approximately 180 gigapixel image. We'll zoom right back out to there. Probably do a little bit more tidying up in here, and I wouldn't have shot a picture with so much dust and stuff on it, but only for this experiment, and so on. So to get rid of some of this other bit of retouching, to get rid of this other remaining dust marks down here, particularly. But there you go. So that's another bit of software. That's Topaz Gigapixel AI, and that'll print up very big, very big. As I say, that's still only 40% of full size magnification. We'll zoom right back in again to 100%. There, 180 is too big. One more. There we go. 100% magnification of the so life size, if you like, of the this large image. Okay, so that's it. So another that's from start to finish, right from taking it, capturing it with the Olympus software, editing it in DXO and various other plugins, right through to Gigapixel, and turning it into a very big image, because you won't want to do that all the time. But Gigapixel is most useful, I think, for taking small images and making them bigger, i.e. small to start with, because it is already big. Okay, so that's it. So I hope you enjoyed watching, and stay safe.